For this episode of our podcast, we're about to embark on a journey that sizzles with insights and grilling expertise. Today, we have the honor of hosting an exceptional guest, Sean Casey, a seasoned management and program analyst on the National Training Team Compliance. But that's just the beginning of his impressive resume. Sean has served in both the Marines and the Air Force, bringing the strength of military discipline to his endeavors. He also stands as one of the longest serving employees in education service, clocking an impressive 24 years of dedicated service. And there's a secret talent up his sleeve. Sean is a master griller, turning barbecuing into an art form. In this episode, aptly titled Hot Coals, Cool Heads, Leadership Lessons from the Grill, we will explore the unexpected parallels between grilling and effective leadership. We'll unravel Sean's unique journey, drawing from his military background, extensive service and education, and the finesse he brings to the grill. Get ready for a conversation that blends leadership lessons with the enticing aroma of a perfectly grilled barbecue. Join us as we learn from Sean Casey, where the hot coals meet cool heads and leadership lessons are seasoned to perfection. Welcome, Sean. Thank you
Hey, Adrian, how you doing?
thank you for joining us at the Compliance Connection podcast.
It's my honor.
This episode of Supervision Shuffle is going to focus on hot coals, cool heads, leadership lessons from the grill, and you are our special guest. Tell the staff a little bit about yourself.
My name's Sean Casey. I have a earned middle name called Mongo that everybody who knows me by. I was in the Marine Corps, start my career in the military. Then later on, I was in the Air Force for 9 years and got out on a disability, used all my benefits, and I was on the Outstanding Scholar Program, which I got me the position with VA in Muskogee, and then I subsequently moved to Maryland, to DC for the central office. Happily married to my wonderful wife, Celeste. I got 3 wonderful kids and 2 grandkids, and I'm looking forward to retirement.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that.
Yes,
towards the end of the episode. Okay, well, we're going to jump right into it.
Sure.
So I hear you are one of the longest standing members in education service.
Yeah, I've been in central office since 2023. There's nobody been there longer than me at this current time. So yeah.
You mean 2003?
Yeah, 2003. Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, see, I'm starting to get senile already. Oh boy.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, well, I think this episode about grilling, leadership lessons from the grill, is really your specialty because I hear you are a master griller.
Master is a strong term. I enjoy grilling. I one of these ones that likes to try things and do things differently. Matter of fact, last summer we experimented with making peach cobbler on my grill, on my smoker, and it came outstanding. So now I'm opening up desserts now. So I'm looking at pineapple upside down cake and things like that to do on the grill. So I'm being really creative in what we do. So as you can see in the background picture, that's some of my many things I throw on the grill and stuff at the same time and get everything going.
That's awesome. And that I think this is a creative way to talk about leadership lessons. So your creative desserts on the grill and other things. And this episode really seemed to match up really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a statement and ask you a question and just kind of get your thoughts on some things as it relates to grilling and education service. Okay. So my first question is, the statement is control the heat. The best grillers control their heat. They don't let the heat control them. In leadership, emotion is our fire. It is vital to our success. But it also can be easy to let our emotions get away from us.
This statement is really about self-awareness and control. Great leaders are in the moment. Their eyes are firmly fixed on the temperature gauge, and they are ready to adjust at any time. So, can you think of a time in education service that controlling the heat was critical?
Yeah, one comes to mind in 2009 when we kicked off the post 9/11 GI Bill development. It was, you talk about some serious stress. We were getting hit on both sides from Senator Webb, who recommended the legislation, and Congress itself, who was following up on this. Ironically, it's funny because at that time, uh, CNP was going through all the stress of backlog and getting called to the hill all the time stuff. And as soon as we kicked off post 9/11 and we were getting beat up, one of my buddies came over. She said, "Hey, welcome to the club. Thank you for taking the stress off of us." But we learned, I remember Keith Wilson, our director at the time, he told us that we are on call 24/7. And he cut back on a lot of stuff that people were supposed to do, like overseas military service coordinator training and things like that, because he wanted us all here. And we learned things from so many contractors in this process. I think we had over 50 different contractors and subcontractors. We learned terms like agile. We learned terms like scrum sessions and all these things that we've never really heard of before when you're developing IT. And I think there was a lot of hot heat. There's a lot of stress on us. There's a lot of when we had to go to the sessions every 2 weeks in Chantilly, there was a lot of arguments going on, and we had to have a lot of cooler heads to get through this. And we came out with a very successful program and stuff that's been one of the biggest producers that we've ever had in education services. As a matter of fact, the biggest. And so it's continued to grow since then. But it started off with a lot of stress. Me, James Ruhlman, a guy named Mike Himes, and Shay Norton. We sat in the first 2 weeks of it. We were doing the horse blankets for the business requirements, and we're constantly bugging Brandy Terrell through all this stuff. Does this meet the law and all this stuff? And so everybody felt the stress, but everybody had fun with it actually. And then we had a lot of philosophical conversations with contractors, and the cooler heads did prevail because we came out with a successful program, except for probably the Senator Webb side of the house. They didn't like us very much, and that came out when we had our kickoff with President Obama and all that stuff. He didn't even acknowledge us during the presentation. So, but other than that, it was really a high stress, high reward time.
Right. Nice. It makes me think about in our history and education service history, we've been here before when we talk about DGIB, and now you're talking about post 9/11. So, this atmosphere we're in right now, building DGIB, education service has been here before and they have prevailed. And that I think is very, gives a lot of hope and for people to know that this too shall pass, and that one day, maybe 20 years from now, like you, will be looking back at DGIB saying, this was an opportunity when we had to, have cooler heads prevail in a huge project with a lot of visibility.
Well, there's another aspect to that. Right before this happened, before kickoff, right around 2007, 2006 to 2008, we had a huge brain drain in VA. I mean, we lost Bill Sussling, we lost Ted Van Hinton, we lost Mike Yunker. We lost a lot of experience. I think we lost over like 100, almost 200 years worth of experience in our office right before that. So this was new, and Keith Wilson was a new director. So we were chewing new ground with new people, basically. And so we never had developed an IT system like this. I mean, BDN had been around since the 70s, so the only thing we ever did was add to it. But this was something we were reinventing the wheel. And it was really something that we went through and stuff, especially with new technology, new project management theories and stuff. So it was interesting.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's move on in our conversation. The next topic I want to talk about is inclusive barbecuing. The responsibility of the barbecue host is to consider all dietary needs and preferences while planning the menu, ensuring that all invited guests can participate. Similarly, by fostering an inclusive and diverse work environment, we cater not only to the diverse needs of individuals on our team, but also create a space where everyone feels accommodated and valued. So, an education service has a lot of talent in central office and in the field. Discuss your thoughts about serving our veterans' educational needs in a richer, more diverse environment.
Well, I mean, you describe elements in developing a good meal, having a richer environment. I mean, because that includes people that help out with, producing the meal, having the right ingredients for the meal, having the right time set aside for the meal, and all that. And I think timing and variety and considering the consumers and preparers is a must. But there's time when you have derision too, when you get out of whack, or rain comes or something that interferes with it. I think we at a point, and I hate to bring this up, but I think at a time we've kind of lost that view of respecting the elders or have their knowledge level. We've all become so youth oriented that we forgot that there's people that have been around and seen everything. Just a case in point, like post 9/11 and stuff. I think we lose that sight sometimes because everyone wants to do the new thing or the trendy thing and stuff. And only once the young ones, the new people in our office, the only thing they see is the trendy thing and stuff. And sometimes you have to look back and respect the elders and hear what they have to say on this stuff, because you lose, if you lose the history of what VA stands for, specifically education service, then sometimes you lose what the meaning of it is and how important it is. I mean, if you don't recognize the veterans, if they're just a customer, well, that's a little different than what we were trying to convey and stuff. So I think you have to have, if you want diversity, it has to not only be age, it has to be age-wise too. And I think sometimes we forget about the senior members of the group, no matter what rank they are, what level they are, if they're supervisors or whatever, there's still experience there that you can glean from. And I think sometimes we forget that. But I think in our office, we got some of the most dynamic people on earth that I grew up listening to and learning from and teaching also. And I think, if we keep that going, if we keep using people like that to help us get through the craziness and stuff, because a lot of that experience that we learned from post 9/11, like you said, for DGIB, it's coming to the forefront and stuff. So sometimes you don't have to have everything done the last second and turn in at 9:00 at night, because guess what? Monday morning comes and we can get up at 7 in the morning and start on it then. The wheels of the government are not going to fall off if you don't get a piece of paper in on Sunday night. So
Yeah.
that comes with experience.
Yeah, that's a good point. You make me, when you were talking about the diversity of age. I remember having a conversation with our director Robert Worley at one time, and we got
Great
the results of the employee survey, all employee survey, and we kind of got low marks on diversity. And we had this very interesting conversation about diversity being more than just,
Racial,
race and age, but it could be diversity of experience too.
right?
We have people that are out in the field that have done so many different things, that are here in central office. Everybody has such a diverse background. So even when we think about that term diversity, we need to really open the aperture and include so many things. I know there is a formal definition as far as, the diversity and inclusion folks, but in this case, when I'm thinking about education service, our diversity really does include diversity of experience and things such as that. So I just like to point that out because I think it's a good a way to think about all the work we do for the veteran in education service. So thank you so much for that. Let's talk about preparation is our friend. Without the proper preparation, a barbecue can quickly go off the rails. Furthermore, if you don't plan and marinate the meat or season the vegetables, The food we are going to serve will not only be late, it may be subpar. Your outcome is commensurate with your preparation. So let's discuss that. Discuss an initiative in education service that characterizes that sentiment. That outcome is, that outcome is commensurate with preparation.
Well, let me see. Well, I mean, everything in training is that. I mean, if you don't, well, it's like you said a barbecue. First off, let's define what it is. First, there's three kinds of cooking, outdoor cooking. There's grilling, there's barbecue, and then there's smoking. So grilling is fast, got to pay attention to it, watch it all the time. Barbecue, smoking is the opposite. Set it and leave it alone and put it, it might take a whole day to do it. It would depend on what you're smoking. And then barbecue is kind of like the Goldilocks, kind of in between both. You don't have to hover over it all the time, but you do have to check on it periodically because you're doing lesser heat than grilling, but you're doing more heat than smoking. So I think it depends on the people. And that kind of equates to people. So you got some people that can work on their own. You don't have to look at them. You don't have to do anything with them and stuff. They don't care if you talk to them at all. Then there's the people you have to hover over. I hate to use the term micromanage, but sometimes you do. And then you got the happy medium of most people are the barbecue people. They like to know that somebody is there, but they don't hate to be micromanaged. So I think that's kind of where we sit in this training and stuff. And I think training kind of equates on that too. We like the Goldilocks theory, but sometimes things come in and blow it all out of the water. We might have things repaired, as we've seen with who, and we have to alter and come back and catch your breath and say, okay, let's see what we can do to fix this. And I think that comes down with all that. That's all part of it.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. I like that. I like the comparison of the different types of people that we have in education service, and they will need to be managed differently. And I think that's a great leadership lesson. About, well, thank you so much, Sean. We are out of time at this episode. Would you be willing to come back and finish this conversation?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm retiring soon. Just do before I retire.